Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So for today's bonus video, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on with Davos up at the wall, his arc, as well as some changes I think they're making with Bran's arc from book stuff. So just careful for spoilers for everything that's happened on the show so far. I did pull some questions to answer because I haven't done a Q&A in a little while. So after I talk about Davos Bran stuff, I'll do a Q&A. Davos stuff first, just because Liam Cunningham has been doing a bunch of awesome stuff lately, especially dropping entire scenes from the first episode. So when asked to describe the season, he just talked about this intense amount of carnage that was going to be happening, along with some business as usual, and being really excited for what he called a lot of newness. And what I think that means is that we're just going to be seeing a lot more Davos at the beginning of the season, because right now Jon Snow is still dead. The Night's Watch are coming after them, so he's going to have to form some sort of unholy alliance with his mortal enemy, Melisandre. And when he said there'll be some business as usual, I think he's talking about the drama up at the wall, as well as his relationship with Melisandre. Even though they're working together, they're still going to hate each other a little bit. So you really like that energy between the two of them. There's going to be plenty of that for the first couple of episodes. When the Jon Snow popsicle thaws out and starts to walk again, that's when I think we'll see some of that carnage. The carnage that he's talking about is obviously stuff that's happening in the north, because Dan and Dave got super hardcore with security this year, so the pages that actors received were really only localized to the scenes that they were in. So when Davos talks carnage, he's probably talking about like this scene here, along with the stuff with the Boltons that's happening later in the season. As much as the show changes the book storyline, I feel like that's actually a really good thing in Davos's case, because Liam Cunningham's such an amazing actor, so I'm wondering what his relationship is going to be with the new Jon Snow, because he's going to have to take charge for this first couple of episodes until shit really gets going, but I still feel like there's going to be this big Davos Melisandre turnaround, especially with Melisandre, when she finds out what's going on with Jon Snow. Like, she has this big crisis of faith in the first episode. That's clearly going to be her arc, where she hits rock bottom, some crazy WTF happens, and it completely reignites her faith. Davos will also probably have a version of that, but he's not really a believer in the Red God the way Melisandre is. He's not quite as religious. But remember the quote that Jorah gave to Tyrion about Daenerys birthing those dragons. Tyrion is a skeptic, so as they're traveling together, Ser Jorah explains how he became a believer when he saw her walk out of the fire unburnt with those baby dragons. So I feel like the same thing is going to happen with Ser Davos. He'll be like the Ser Jorah of Jon Snow's storyline, minus the sexual tension. But moving on to Bran stuff, this is going to be really fun. If you're a big fan of magic on the show, Bran is going to be the biggest conduit for that, outright magic. Now, there's magic as part of Melisandre's storyline. There are magical situations, and then there are other situations when people consciously practice magic, and that's going to be Bran in Season 6. So that makes me think that they're going to use him as a conduit to explain all the magical things on the show. Like as the three-eyed raven is explaining his abilities to him through the season, whatever form that Jedi training is going to take, that is going to be when we're going to get the most literal explanation of how magic works on the show. Like, even though in the books there are a bunch of other people that know a lot about magic, like Marwyn the Mage, really interesting character from the books. He's the Archmaester that you would go to learn about the dark arts from. Anything magical, really, at the Citadel. TV show, definitely not going to do him. In the books, he's headed to Meereen with the idea of becoming Daenerys' maester. So in the books, we're actually probably going to learn a lot about magic through his character, but because the TV show isn't doing him, you don't get any of that explanation, so they kind of have to give that to another character, which is why I think they're going to do that with Bran. The way the actor that plays Bran described Bran in Season 6 is that he, the producers, played it as if Bran had been watching the TV show the whole time, so he has an idea for what's going on all over the world. So everyone in the story is concerned with their own bullshit. Varys is a good example of a character that is trying to play a larger game. Bran will be one of the few to know what's really going on, War of Ice and Fire things that are going on. But let's do some questions. So Sly Cullen asks, could you please do a video about Sam Tarly? I feel like they didn't add him to the trailer because news of Jon's death may change his storyline, and potential news of Jon's resurrection too. Well, I've actually done Samwell Tarly videos. Really, he's going to the Citadel to learn to become a maester. We're going to see a lot of his family, so he'll be down in the Reach. It is my great hope that we will also see a lot of Highgarden this season, because there's a lot of Tyrell stuff that's happening in King's Landing. Now, Samwell's family does not live at Highgarden. They live at Hornhill, which is nearby, but it's not near Old Town and it's not near Highgarden. So in the way during Season 5, Tyrion traveled all around, like we saw Old Volantis through Tyrion, then we went to Meereen. We'll probably see a couple different places through Samwell's character. But because there's so much going on with these other really big characters, like the stuff in the north, the stuff in King's Landing, it remains to be seen how much Samwell will be in the season. Tony Casmer asks, being Queen Regent and Queen, would Cersei and Marjorie be required to use Kingsguard in their trials? I assume you're talking about the Trial of the Faith. No, they could probably pick anybody they wanted to fight for them. Even if you haven't read the books, you've probably done the math from the trailer. Robert Strong is going to be Cersei's proxy in any fight that she's going to start, and she definitely looks like she's going to be starting some fights. Next question, Prongs asks, Jon is in Ghost's body, he lives as Ghost. Melisandre with her voodoo using Ghost will bring back Jon. You seem very certain of that. I would just be prepared for a slightly different interpretation. I think if Jon were actually in Ghost's body, when the Night's Watch starts to break down the door in this clip, Ghost would be acting less like a wolf and more like Jon Snow, like, oh, here we go. Like he'd be a little less feral. And I think in this scene here, we're probably going to see him take down at least one or two of the Night's Watch in a really wolf-like manner. But George R. R. Martin has explained that all the Stark children have the ability to warg, some of them just aren't conscious of it yet. I think they'll focus less on that with Jon Snow's storyline and more with Arya's storyline, like her awakening to her ability to see through animals' eyes, a la Cat of the Canals. Next question, Yusuf asks, what about Loras Tyrell? We haven't seen him for a long time. Well, if Marjorie is still being held by the faith, then so is Loras, probably. And because the actor was cast on another show, he was cast as the new Iron Fist for Marvel, I'm wondering if he's going to get killed off this season. Just because the actor's doing the Iron Fist stuff doesn't guarantee that he's going to die on Game of Thrones, because they only do 10 episodes of Game of Thrones, they're only going to do 13 episodes of Iron Fist, so they can totally schedule those around each other. But I don't really know what the exact filming schedule is for Iron Fist, so don't be surprised if Loras gets squished by the faith during Season 6. That would actually be a pretty big WTF that would incite the Tyrells to war. Thank you so much everyone for asking questions. These are always a ton of fun to do. Because they're doing the red carpet premiere for Season 6 tonight, there might be some cool stuff happening. If there is, I'll totally do a video for it next week. Giveaway time though. Congratulations to this week's giveaway winner, Ben Bennett. You win a $20 Amazon gift card. Be sure to private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. That's just on the About page. If there's any bonus videos that you guys want to request, just let me know in the comments below. If you guys haven't seen it yet, you can click here for that big Davos scene from episode 1, and you can click here for my Tower of Joy teaser video. So excited for Tower of Joy. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.